You're at dinner. Someone says, "Can you pass the salt?" You answer yeses and keep eating. You just understood the syntax. You just understood the semantics. And you completely missed the point because the sentence is grammatically a question, but functionally a request. That gap is what pragmatics studies. Pragmatics is the study of what we do with language, not just what we say, what we accomplish by saying it. Requests, promises, warnings, jokes, sarcasm. Modern LLMs are shockingly good at this until they hit a specific class of failures, and once you know the pattern, you can spot them every time. 2 videos ago, we split sentence meaning from speaker meaning. Last video, we saw how sentence meaning composes from parts. Both of those are the semantic side. Today, we cross over to the other side, what the speaker is trying to do, which is a different skill from decoding the words. Here's the puzzle. When someone says something, we effortlessly figure out what they meant, often something quite different from what they literally said. That inference is fast, automatic, and, until pragmatics was invented, completely unexplained. 2 frameworks cracked it open: Grice's cooperative principle and Austin and Searle's speech act theory. Today's 3 beats. First, Grice's cooperative principle. 4 maxims that explain how we read between the lines. Second, speech acts. Austin and Searle. When saying something is doing something. Third, LLMs and pragmatics. Why they're eerily good, and why sarcasm is the classic failure mode. Beat 1. Paul Grice, 1975. Logic and conversation. Grice noticed that conversation runs on an unspoken assumption that everyone is cooperating, trying to be informative, truthful, relevant, clear. That assumption is the engine that lets us read between the lines. He called it the cooperative principle, and it has 4 maxims. Watch what these maxims do. Someone asks, "Is the professor good?" You say, "Well, he has neat handwriting." You didn't answer their question. But because they assume you're being cooperative, they infer, "She thinks he's not good but is being polite." That inference is called a conversational implicature, and it's how a huge chunk of communication actually works. This is why "Can you pass the salt" works as a request. Answering with yeses would violate the cooperative principle. You'd be answering a literal question no one was asking. Your brain reasons. The speaker knows I can pass the salt. They wouldn't ask if they meant literally, so they must mean something else, namely, "Please pass it." Beat 2. Speech acts. Austin's 1962 book, How to Do Things with Words. Radical idea. Saying something is doing something. When you say, "I promise," you are not describing a promise, you are making one. When you say, "I now pronounce you married," you are not narrating a wedding, you are performing it. Language is a form of action. John Searle in the 1960s and 70s systematized this into speech act theory. Every utterance carries a force. Is it an assertion, a question, a command, a promise, a warning? That force is often different from the grammatical form. "It's cold in here" is grammatically a statement. Functionally, it's often a request. That mismatch is where pragmatics lives. Searle's Chinese room thought experiment is the philosophical follow-up. A system that manipulates symbols but doesn't understand them can still produce all the right speech acts on the surface. That paper stalks every conversation about LLMs. Because a language model that produces requests, promises, warnings, does it mean them, or is it just Chinese rooming us? Beat 3. LLMs and pragmatics. This is where it gets weird. Modern LLMs are shockingly good at pragmatics. Ask GPT-4 the salt question. It correctly reads it as a request. Ask it, "It's cold in here." It offers to close a window. Somewhere in trillions of tokens of human conversation, it learned the inference chain from grammatical form to speech act force. But there's a class of pragmatic failure that stays hard. Sarcasm, irony, deadpan humor, anywhere the speaker means the opposite of what they say. "Oh, great job," positive words, negative meaning. LLMs still take these literally more often than humans do, because sarcasm requires knowing the speaker's true attitude, which is not encoded in the words. This is the LLM signature. Excellent at inferring cooperative principle-style speech acts. Weak at inferring opposite of literal meanings that require modeling the speaker's real emotional state. It's the same story as the syntax lecture. The old problems didn't disappear. They shifted from being bugs in explicit systems to being blind spots in the weights. 3 takeaways before the quiz. 1. Grice's cooperative principle, plus 4 maxims. Conversational implicatures let us read between the lines. 2. Speech acts, Austin and Searle. Saying something is doing something. Grammatical form and actual force often diverge. 3. LLMs handle indirect speech acts and implicatures shockingly well. They still miss sarcasm and irony, the pragmatic bug that hasn't been solved. Quiz 1. What is Grice's cooperative principle? A. Everyone must answer literally. B. Conversation assumes participants are cooperating. Informative, truthful, relevant, clear. C. A rule that bans sarcasm. Or D. A grammatical constraint. B. The assumption of cooperation. Grice's 1975 idea. 4 maxims: quantity, quality, relation, manner. When someone violates one, we don't call them a liar. We infer they're being polite, or ironic, or coy. That inference is conversational implicature. It's how a huge chunk of communication actually works. Quiz 2. What's a speech act? A. An acted-out sentence. B. An utterance whose meaning is the action it performs, promising, requesting, warning. C. A voice-acting exercise. Or D. An acronym. B. Saying is doing. Austin's 1962 idea, systematized by Searle. I promise doesn't describe a promise, it makes one. Can you pass the salt isn't a question, it's a request. Grammatical form and actual force often diverge. That divergence is the whole subject of pragmatics. Quiz 3. What's the classic pragmatic failure for modern LLMs? A. Grammar mistakes. B. Sarcasm and irony, where speakers mean the opposite of what they literally say. C. Spelling errors. Or D. Refusing to answer. B. Sarcasm and irony. LLMs handle cooperative principle implicatures and indirect speech acts eerily well because those are recoverable from language. Sarcasm requires knowing the speaker's true attitude, which isn't encoded in the words. That's the LLM signature bug in pragmatics. Back to the puzzle. We've now walked all 4 layers of meaning-making. Syntax, the shape; recursion, the reach; semantics, the sentence's meaning; pragmatics, the speaker's meaning. Every one of them is a different question. Every one of them is a place LLMs partly succeed and partly fail. And every one of them will keep showing up in the rest of Lecture 3, where we look at discourse, dialogue, and the parts of language that stretch beyond a single sentence. Next time, discourse. What happens when meaning stretches across sentences? Pronouns tracking their antecedents, topics evolving, conversations building, all the connective tissue that turns a pile of sentences into a story. Hit subscribe.